When you think of a cup of Nespresso, where does your mind go? Does it take you to the hot springs of Costa Rica, where we bathe our malty and balanced Arabica beans in the mineral-rich waters? Or to the dry tropical heat of Nicaragua, where beans are hand-turned, caramelizing under the intense sun for a sweeter, smoother cup? Nespresso, crafted from exceptional nature.
Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, Will Lou. A reminder, we are streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and also airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday between 2 and 3 p.m. To people watching, hello. And I am joined on this Thursday afternoon by producer and co-host Alex Wong. We have a pair of special guests coming up on the show today, Alex. But first off, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm excited. We've got Alvin Williams making his quote-unquote debut on the Raptors Show.
Yeah.
Because he mentioned on the broadcast earlier this week on Monday that he's never been on the show. Even though for anybody who can search the podcast archives, did a 1-hour sit-down with Alvin.
It was a great sit-down.
One
of my favorite episodes.
When you took a Spirit Airlines to Montreal.
Yeah, it was like
during
$100
the preseason.
Yeah, it was great.
And he was also on after Matt Devlin's famous Indiana Pacers game when he lost his voice, and we got the play-by-play from Alvin. But anyways, he'll be making his debut, and we'll be calling Gary Trent Sr. in the second half. Gary Trent Sr. is about to get his own show, is my fear, because
he deserves it.
Yeah.
Let's be real. He deserves it.
So look out for the Raptor Show with Will Lou and Gary Trent Sr. Coming up soon. But
I think it actually should be Alvin and Gary. I feel like they have really good. Obviously, they're former teammates, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think they have good banter.
You think so? You don't think they're just gonna fight each other?
That would be great banter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we? Okay. Anyways.
No, we're not gonna fight each
Yeah,
other.
great fit today though, Will. Just like Gary Trent Jr. describing his dad's fit last night. You've got the $49.99 H&M hoodie.
That's more than it was, but
okay. Where's the pants from?
H&M.
Okay, the pants are also from H&M, and then he's got the Ray Guns Converse, $39.99 on sale from SVP.
That was a great deal.
Water bottle from Amazon, probably Amazon Prime. Do you have an Amazon Prime?
I do.
Yeah. It was amazing though, and we'll talk about this later with Gary Trent Sr. How excited Gary Trent Jr. was listing off everything that his dad was wearing courtside.
Yeah, it only added. It was the perfect cherry on the top of a great performance from Gary. And also just a good performance by the team as a whole. I'm not going to lie to you. Minnesota missing 32 threes really helped. But no, it was nice to go into the break with a win. It was great to see Patrick Beverley lose. And, I look forward to emulating Patrick Beverley's behavior at our Friday men's soccer league.
I'm looking forward to giving up 4 goals again and getting bailed out by my boys. But like you mentioned, the Raptors, after Patrick Beverley picked up his first technical before the opening tip, went on a 103-91 run to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. They go into the All-Star break 32-25. Really wanted them to get that win yesterday because I don't think we wanted the fan base to sit for 9 days on a 3-game losing streak heading into the All-Star break.
You can't even ask this fan base to sit on 3 days of losing after 8 games of winning. So, yes, mercifully.
It's not really their fault, though. I feel like every game matters now. Like, we've talked about this all week, right?
Yeah, I know.
And you're the king of every game matters.
I agree. I know.
So.
But also at the same time, you got to find ways to disconnect from the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just like, programming note, Will is running from the grind next Monday and Tuesday.
That's right.
You going skiing?
Yeah, I don't even ski, but again, just any excuse to sort of take some time.
Oh, okay. Okay, the perks
but
of a full-time employee.
You're gonna do this show
I'm locked
justice. As always.
I'm locked in. I'm David Justice. I'm locked. Do you know who that is?
Yes, a baseball player.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, but yes.
Saw him in Moneyball.
So Monday, Faisal Kamisa will be in studio with me for the hour. We're going to recap All-Star Weekend and also do some second half over-unders. And then second, on Tuesday, Amy Audibert will be coming in studio as a guest host. And we're going to draft. I think I'm going to get her to draft our favorite moments from the quote-unquote first half of the season. Because I was making a list of favorite moments yesterday, and they're there's been a lot of memorable moments.
This is a nice thing with our show chemistry to take us behind the scenes. Like,
Yes, you talk basketball.
yeah, when there's Raptors basketball going on, like,
Yep.
I can handle the topics, like most
Yep.
of that is good. But then when there is no basketball going on, that's when you really come to shine.
That's literally what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'm so
actually.
excited about next week that the Raptors are not playing until Friday. Latest Chris Boucher-Willu interview update. We're gonna follow up and hopefully be able to take care of that next week.
Yes,
But
okay.
be patient.
Yeah, so obviously the players going away for the break. I actually don't know what Chris is planning to do, but still, like, the players are off, right? They have no obligations to do any of this other stuff. They will return, I think, Wednesday, maybe latest Thursday. The Raptors play Friday in Charlotte, but I imagine they would regroup in Toronto, get at least 1, maybe 2 practices in, sort of just get everyone back, healthy, in shape. Obviously, you add Thad Young to the mix, and I thought Thad played well last night. If you want to talk about a guy who makes great cuts.
We should talk about Thad Young real quickly.
Yeah.
Plus 16 last night in 21 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, I think he came as advertised as a high basketball IQ player, someone who just would fit seamlessly into the Raptors offense. And he talked about after joining the team and not playing in that first game against Denver, he basically spent 2 days like cramming like it was a final exam, learning the Raptors system. We saw a little bit of him in New Orleans, but honestly, that game on Monday was completely forgettable. Not sure there's much you can take away, but he played a huge role last night in the win.
Yeah, he did. And I think, first off, if you just notice the trends of late, the guys whose performance is starting to trend downwards a little bit, especially heading towards the break here, Scotty, right? His points per game by month has sort of like dropped a little bit. Not significantly, but, a little bit. Only 9 points last night. And an OG who has really fallen off in terms of just like where he was at the start of the season, how promising he was. I remember you asking me at the start of the year, the over-unders and the previews, stuff like that. And I said over for OG Anunoby points per game at, I think, 19.9. So essentially I was saying he's going to average 20 this year. But that's sort of come down as well for him of late in the last 3 games. He's really not been himself. So you're going to need some actual backup at those positions. And Thad is exactly that. He's a great backup in those positions. And you saw yesterday where, the Timberwolves played zone for 3 quarters. Chris Finch, by the way, trying to out Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, Chris. Yeah,
Chris,
that's a nice
a
one.
little friendly rivalry. Didn't they talk about before the game they both met the Queen? I think this was or Nick did at least, 2012 Olympics.
Well, it does
Who
make
hasn't
sense.
Nick met?
Well, no, it makes sense that he met the Queen. I mean, he was coaching. He was the lead assistant coach. He was Nate Bjorkgren to Chris Finch's Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse is the OG Nate Bjorkgren. Yeah, I was getting a little confused because they were describing this on the broadcast. So like Nick has been an assistant to Chris and Chris has been an assistant to Nick.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Nick was the assistant coach with the Great Britain national basketball team. So that's why he met the Queen. I think presumably just that's what the Queen does. Goes around, meets people.
When we sit down with Nick, and hopefully we can get that
when
done.
we sit down with the Queen,
When we sit down with the Queen.
We'll get her perspective on meeting Nick Nurse.
Yeah, on Thad Young passing out of the short roll. No, but when we sit down with Nick, we should just go A to Z and like just list out the alphabets, and he has to name people that he's met. So like A is like Arkells, right? B is Bobby Webster. You're gonna have to help me out here. I've run out.
Yeah.
Q would be the Queen.
Sure.
I bet you that would be actually really interesting.
Yeah,
you don't seem you don't seem very into that right now. So we'll workshop that.
We have a long off season ahead of us.
Long off season.
we'll
Hopefully
need to
not too
focus on.
long. Raptors gonna make a little run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, 32-25 at the break.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've mentioned when we did the over-unders, their over-under win total was 36.5.
Yeah. So you're eating. If you bet the over, you're good.
You are eating at Manchu Walk every day.
Oh.
Like you are
Okay.
eating. So,
All right.
yeah, feeling good. If you were to grade this entire season so far, forget a letter grade, out of 100, what would you give this Raptors season so far?
It's 85, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, like a solid like A, maybe A minus, but like I would say so. Right? What do you think?
Yeah, maybe like 81.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Why would you choose that number?
Just an arbitrary grade.
In
I've never taught.
In reference to the Raptors of all teams.
I've never taught.
No, but I mean, I think, yeah, at this point in the season, you're 7 games over. The only thing is just the East is really tough, right? It's tougher than anyone could have imagined. But still, you're 7 games over. Your team is pretty much entirely healthy. And you managed to turn Goran into someone who actually plays basketball for the Raptors. So that's as good as you could possibly expect. Also, I was looking into this in terms of the strength of schedule, right? The Raptors, out of all the East playoff teams at the current moment, have the second easiest remaining schedule in the Eastern Conference playoff teams. Only Cleveland has a better, easier record, right? So you're also looking at a situation where I think it's probably a little bit road heavy. I think I haven't looked at the schedule breakdown too much. Sure, next week we'll have plenty of time to break that down because we'll be
slow down.
We'll be short for content.
Slow down. Maybe just stop right there.
But
slow down.
I think this is a great situation for the team, and we'll get to see Fred. Show out at the All-Star weekend. We'll see Scotty Barnes. Excited to see Scotty team up with LaMelo.
Yeah, that will be our second segment tomorrow when we preview All-Star Weekend.
Okay,
so
wow.
Once again, just Real Lou comes in here so excited.
I'm sorry, man.
Jumping the gun. We do have Alvin Williams on the line, but quickly, I just want to mention, you talked about OG Anunoby slowing down. Just pulled up the numbers. In his last 10 games, he's averaging 12.7 points on 42% shooting from the field. So the numbers have definitely slipped on the offensive.
Well, we just know he can be better than that because we have high expectations for OG. But
yeah, get your rest, OG.
Yeah.
Come back second half. Let's make this push. But Alvin Williams of Sportsnet is on the line with us. Alvin, welcome to the Raptors Show for the first time, apparently.
Hey, man, who said that? Those are rumors.
Okay.
Wasn't who said that, was it?
Well, let's play this clip that we have here from producer Derek.
The Raptors Show with Will Lou, presented by DoorDash.
I'm trying to get on that show, man.
You've been on that show, have you not? Amy's on it.
Amy's on it?
All the time.
Oh, Amy got to hook me up.
Yeah. Well, you haven't been on it. There's a 3 that's good. They haven't called you yet?
Hey, man.
Really? Have you been on the show?
I haven't been on the show.
I am surprised that you have not. We'll get that done. I'm going to go on the show Wednesday. I'm going to
so
be
you're just going to rub it in my face, huh?
No, I'm going to be. And then Amy, I think she'll be on the show tomorrow.
So, okay.
No, I don't know who she is. Danielle has been on the show.
Okay.
Sherm's on the show. Sherm, you haven't been on the show? That ain't right.
It's cool. It's all right. I'm a bum rush my way up on the show.
There you go. There's evidence of Alvin Williams claiming that. Alvin, how could you forget? I had a great conversation with you. We talked about Bradley Cooper, you knowing Bradley Cooper growing up. We talked about you keeping a fresh pair of white Air Force Ones, every day in high school. I guess I just wasn't that memorable. I apologize, Alvin.
No, guess what? And Danielle told me right after that, she's like, you were on there talking about Brad Cooper and everything.
Yeah.
And then it came back to me right after that. So apologies to you guys.
No. First off, Alvin, thank you, because that was a great promo. I know, because, you know what? That game was that was the Pelicans game, right? The Raptors were, down 30. They clearly just didn't have it that night. It's, one of those rare nights this season where the Raptors, weren't fully competitive. So, you guys took that time, plugged the show, and it was great. Because for me, watching at home, I'm a big fan of the team. I was fuming. I'm like, yo, come on. Why are the Raptors down like this? The Pelicans are good, but they're not this good. And then all of a sudden, my mood completely changed because I'm like, look at life, really. You got Alvin, and you got begging to be on the show, and I'm like, this is amazing. And then I immediately told Alex, I was like, yo, make this happen.
Oh, I text Alvin
for the
right
first
away.
time.
Yeah, Alvin is the only boogie that we acknowledge on this show.
Ooh, okay.
But before we get to the Raptors, Alvin, we do need a response from you from something else. So we had your former teammate Gary Trent Sr. on the show last week, and I asked him a quick question just about, because I know you had kind of joked around on the broadcast, calling him out and things like that. So let's listen to this clip.
Alvin has the platform and the nightly voice and the fans to follow him, but it's kind of, he was always, like a young fella, he always had a lot of admiration for me, so I can see why he would be mentioning me in the air in that fashion. You know what I'm saying?
So Alvin, we need an official Raptor Show response to Gary Trent Sr.'s comments.
Nah, G was right, man. I remember watching him at Ohio University and then getting a chance to play with him in Portland, and then we both getting traded. So he was really good friends with Rasheed Wallace, who was my brother from Philadelphia. So I was always, I was able to be around him a lot, even as a rookie. And just watching him, watching how serious he was, watching how good he was, and then we got a chance we got traded together, and we really started hanging out. So, no, he's right. I always had an admiration and respect for him because he was talented. So He's right. So I get a chance right now to get my shots in. So, of course, I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd have a
I wouldn't do it to his face because I don't want to get hurt. So I won't do it to his face.
We were hoping for a more scathing response so we could just, put this on quote graphics and then, go viral. But, you gave a very professional response. So you're definitely
he's right.
learning on the job, Alvin. But I wanted to ask you, too, because, you've had so many different teammates over the years and Gary Trent Sr. being one of them. And I know a lot of you guys remain in basketball in different capacities. With someone like Gary Trent Sr., did you guys, even though you were teammates for a very short time, keep in touch, all throughout these years?
No, we didn't. We haven't. I would see him when he ended up playing for Minnesota, and we would see each other. I always say hi. It was always love and respect. But then I saw him again here in Philadelphia when, once again, Rasheed Wallace, he had a retirement celebration, and G. Trent was there. And we got a chance to sit and talk and, stuff like that. But we didn't keep in touch throughout, our retirement. But once I saw him again here in Philadelphia, and then when his son was traded to Toronto, I got a chance to see him earlier this year, hanging out a little bit. So, yep, that's it. But we never really kept in touch.
All right. Well, Alvin, listen, I wanted to change topics a little bit, get your thoughts on, obviously, this year's Raptors team. And I wanted to specifically ask you about a guy like Fred, who's going to make the All-Star game for the first time in his career, and he's going to be playing this weekend and taking part in the three-point contest. And, looking at Fred, right, this is his first year as a clear-cut lead point guard on the team. Kyle moves on after just a tremendous career here in Toronto, and you have Fred taking over. And you know what? As fans, we clearly see the threes are up for him, right? He's made more threes than everybody in the league outside of Steph Curry. Right. We also see the stats are up across the board. But, as a former point guard yourself, what are you seeing from Fred that you really appreciate in terms of the understated things that he's doing to contribute to wins on a nightly basis, which has seen him now make the All-Star game?
The consistency. I just see, how he's playing on both sides of the basketball, defensively, offensively, making big shots. Taking big shots, timely shots, and just being consistent and being reliable. Even before Pascal came back from his injury, Pascal was the guy. I'm messing up. Fred was the guy that was leading the charge night in and night out. And although the records is not as good as it is now, but he was holding it down until Pascal got back, until they got full-fledged and they got their roster back. But he's just being very consistent. He's growth, and I think this is a year also that he's learning a lot and is going to learn a lot how to maintain this level of play for the rest of his career. I think he's learning how to, be better in condition and things. Not saying that he's not, but this is a season where he's carrying a lot of responsibility. And he's an all-star, and he's, the point guard on a winning team, and he's doing all of these great things. Next year, it's only going to get harder for him, right? The expectations are going to be higher. The attention is going to be, more on his shoulders. So he's going to really have to continue to grow and use this as a great experience to continue to further his career, continue to grow in his career, and be the top-notch player that he already is.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, Kyle and Fred, they're going to be compared to each other all the time, right? To be honest, based on how great of a player Kyle Lowry was in Toronto, everybody's going to be compared to Kyle that wears the Raptors jersey, but especially a guy like Fred, who Kyle specifically mentored, and, obviously they play the same position. In your opinion, what are some of the similarities between those two players, just based on their skill types, and also maybe some of the ways that they're sort of different in terms of how they approach the game, not even just on the court, but maybe even with their mentality?
The mentality, definitely. I think the mentality of them being, dogs on that floor. Kyle is more demonstrative. Kyle had more of an edgy type of a feel to him when you look at him in his play. Fred is more smooth. He's more, even keel, tempo, things like that. Kyle would race down and go up your chest and finish amongst the trees, physicality. Both of them are good scorers from the outside. I think Fred, he has that in his game earlier than Kyle. Kyle really had to develop that, whereas Kyle was a better finisher at the rim, drawing contact and getting to the rim and finishing and things like that. And Kyle was like really natural facilitator, where the point guard position changed over time through Kyle's career. The point guard was needed to score a lot now. So the responsibilities are different from a point guard. But they both, I think most importantly, they both have that dog attitude where they're not going to be denied. No one's going to tell them what they cannot do, and they're going to lead a team. They have that leadership quality where it may be different, but they have a leadership quality where the players will follow their lead. So I think that they have some great, very similarities where it's glaring, but I think they do definitely have some differences that when how they approach the game a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Kyle is he's definitely more fiery than Fred, I would say. You know, and you know, especially with like the way he would like light up the team. You know, obviously Matt Devlin always had that phrase of like, don't poke the bear, you know, like, but I think there is some of that with Fred too. And I think both of those guys have the right sense of like when to take over, when the team sort of needs a jolt, like the responsibility ultimately falls on them really to like spark the team. And, you know, going back to Kyle, actually.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sorry, for sure. But yeah, I think it's both in them. It's just one, it's like that one guy, right? It's the one guy that you may not go out and talk a lot, but he'll hurt you just as bad as the guy that, you know, may talk a lot. So I think I know they both have that fire, and they both have that thing where, you know, don't wake me up. Don't press your luck with me. Kyle is the guy that's, you know, just from our city where we come from, a lot of that is already in there. But, you know, Fred is the guy, you know, you can just tell the way he plays and the way he approaches it. Don't mess with him either. Like, he's the quiet guy is always the guy that scared me anyway. So that's why I appreciate most about Fred.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, going back to Kyle, like, so you guys go back way, way back, really, with the Philly connection. And, you know, I actually wanted to get your thoughts on, like, you know, as when Kyle came to the Raptors, obviously that first year, you know, it wasn't like a smash hit right away, but basically, like, he was immediately successful from, like, 2013, 14-ish onward. And, you know, he was, you know, all-star praise. But, like, before that, right, in sort of when Kyle had sort of more difficult times, you know, in Houston, when he got traded to the Raptors, you know, even when he got drafted with Memphis, like, what were some of the pieces of advice you would try to offer him? Because he's always talked about you as a mentor to him in his game. And I get the sense that it's not just in terms of, like, what happens on the court. It's also sort of how you could carry yourself off the court as well. So what were some of the sort of the mentorship and the advice that you offered Kyle before he sort of made it and became big time here in Toronto?
I will always just, you know, he always had the work ethic. It wasn't much you can tell Kyle because Kyle's very stubborn. And I realized that at that point, you know, of my life, I was retired, and I start really realizing the professional game and the business of the sport and just everything. And Kyle did not have that yet. So sometimes, like, if he disagreed with a coach or whatever, and I would just, you know, emphasize that it's not always you, or it's not always what it seems. So make sure you just stay the course, continue working out, and you don't always have to respond to certain things or whatever, because they can always put a negative spin behind it. Kyle, unlike myself, Kyle had a very deep understanding. Like, Kyle was a student of the game. Like, he really knew the game. He knew situations. So he wasn't going to take, you know, direction or instruction if it didn't make sense. It had to make sense to him. Where I just remember myself, anything you told me to do, run through that brick wall and something's on the other side, I'm going to do it. Whether I break my neck and knock myself out, I'm going to try to do it. Kyle's going to do it, but he's going to ask a few questions. Like, I need to know why. And it doesn't make sense. And sometimes coaches, you know, they rejected that. They didn't like that. So it always came back to that, because if you're a coach, you couldn't deny Kyle's work ethic. You couldn't deny his ability and his passion to play the game. It was always the other side. And once Kyle realized that he doesn't have to fight every battle, you know, he didn't have to fight every battle with a coach or whatever the case may be. Just go out there and use that energy that he used against coaches or whatever against his competitors and continue to get better. I think he became a much better player, and that person being that leader. And I think he was viewed differently after that. But it took time. It took maturity, and it took an understanding that he can relax a little bit on some of those relationships and then really put his energy towards something that's going to really be helpful. But once again, Kyle has deep understanding. His basketball IQ is off the charts. So once again, when coaches challenge certain things, he was going to challenge you right back. He was very similar to me to like a Rajon Rondo, who was very good, but you're not. He knows the films, he knows the game plans, he knows everything. So make sure you're prepared as a coach before you come up with a game plan that may not make sense.
Right. No, I think that's perfectly said, and I think we definitely see all that with Kyle. I think you giving us that perspective is great. Last thing I actually wanted to ask you, one more point guard, Malachi Flynn, who hasn't had like the most successful year so far, hasn't fully found his footing in the rotation. Like in terms of when you're trying to break into the league and you're coming off the bench and you have like last year, I mean, he's literally playing behind Kyle and Fred. You're not going to get minutes until those guys start to sit at the end of the season. And then this year, you're still playing behind an all-star and Fred. Like, it's going to be hard to sort of find your footing in the league. What kind of advice would you offer a guy like Malachi right now who's trying to find some way to stick and get himself in the good books of Nick Nurse?
Continue to grow, continue to go in there with that mindset of learning every day. Learning every day when you put the pressure on the coaches by, and I don't want to say pressure on the coaches, you just make sure you're always in their face by watching film, making them understand that you really want to continue to grow. And whatever the case may be, whether it's watching film, staying in the gym, doing what they ask you to do, and just getting out there on the floor. The way you increase your value is getting out there on the floor and playing. But it's so tricky because when you get out there, you want to prove to everybody and to the coaches that you belong out there. And then you get into the situation where you may get frustrated and you may get discouraged. Your confidence may waver. I haven't seen that with Malachi. When he gets in the game, he's still aggressive. He still looks like he likes to play his game. But that's the biggest thing when you go through all those phases and those stages where I've been through, right where he's been through. I've been, my rookie year playing behind John Crotty and Kenny Anderson, not getting on the bench. Not getting off the bench. And then coming to Toronto and not really playing because, Muggsy, Tracy, everybody and their mother was playing the point guard position, it seemed like, and I just couldn't crack that lineup. So it was always a phase where mentally it was a struggle at times. But now when I look back at it, making sure I appreciate being in that NBA, but not just being satisfied, just knowing that every day I'm going to have a chance to prove something. Even if it doesn't look like it, even if it looks like the coaches overlooked at me or whatever, I know I got a chance once I wake up every day to prove something and get better. So I think just staying the course, picking Freddie's brain, working out, getting better, and then when your number's called, be ready, whether it's for Toronto or it's for another team, because he's definitely proven that he can play in the NBA.
Right. Alvin, we appreciate your wisdom. I think we're going to send that clip directly to Malachi, actually. I think he could probably use just a little bit of encouragement. I think he's actually done the right things. I thought, like yesterday, for example, he comes in, doesn't play the first three quarters, but fourth quarter he comes in against Minnesota, and he did a pretty good job just running the team, pushing the tempo, making a couple defensive plays here and there, and that's how you sort of, do what the coach wants you to do, even though necessarily that I think he could probably do more than that. Just personally.
For sure. He's just
that's
he's
the
just
game,
in a tricky spot. Yeah, he's in a tricky spot because the lineup, the length of the team. That's the culture, or not the culture, but that's the reputation that they're building. That's the fabric that they're building, and he doesn't fit that mold. But he definitely is an NBA player, and he just have to keep that mindset that I'm an NBA player. I belong here, and I'm gonna prove every day that I'm gonna be here. And that's two things that he can pick up from Kyle and Fred VanVleet, right? That attitude that I'm proven and I'm going to continue to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Those are two guys who have also been in that position before, So it's not unique. A lot of players enter the league like that. So, Alvin, we appreciate your time. We will get you on the show as often as you like.
Appreciate you making your debut today, Alvin.
Alex is just salty. Alex is like,
Alvin,
he's like, oh,
Alvin,
man,
you don't know me.
Once
There's a joke, I just latch on to it. So I'll be referring to this for the rest of the season. But seriously, next time, I know you mentioned on the broadcast too, next time you're in town, if you want to come in the studio, just let us know.
No, for sure. I'm back on the road with the guys. I think March 6th. I think I'll be back in town traveling. So I'll be back there for sure. I would love to.
Yeah, the dream is to have you and Gary Trent Sr. in studio at the same time.
Yeah, actually, we're not even going to be here to host. We'll just let you guys talk to each other, actually. I think it might be better. We might lose our jobs after
Make it happen. Make it happen.
We'll make it happen. Thank you very much, Alvin. That was Alvin Williams of Sportsnet. Man, feel like this week we've been just getting a lot of great like mentorship
Yes.
advice.
That's the whole team of the week, apparently.
I think it's just a whole. I think it's the whole theme of the show.
Actually, though.
Yeah, we try to bring perspective.
To
I
me-
love when you bring perspective as well.
Hey,
You're
man,
like, guys.
I've been an older brother all my
Yeah,
life.
you're like,
essentially,
Malachi,
so-
it's a career arc that other people have, but I'm gonna get angry next time he shoots a 3 with 19 seconds left. and
Yeah,
misses it.
okay. Well, turns out I'm still in my 20s, unfortunately. So I still act quite rashly at times. Anyway, that's a good spot for us to take a break. I'm your host, Wolu. You've been listening to The Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Alex, NBA All-Star Weekend is coming up. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, powered by DoorDash. I'm your host, Will Lou. I am joined in the second segment by producer and co-host Alex Wong, in addition to a special guest, Alex.
Yes, we have the people's favorite guest of the Raptors Show, Gary Trent Sr., sitting courtside last night, Raptors Wolves, in his beautiful. What did I tell you today when I text you, Gary? Your immaculate fur coat.
Good word.
How's it going, Gary?
Oh, it's going good, man. It's going good. The weather improved a little bit here. We're from -20 to now it's +5. So, it's a little warm.
Okay, are you wearing the jacket right now?
Nah, I got a different one in the back seat.
Oh, okay. I got
I got a different one in the back seat.
I got a CD changer in my 2001 Honda Civic. You have a fur coat changer. I respect that. Listen, before we get into anything, got to ask you, you're sitting courtside last night, and before opening tip, Patrick Beverley of the Timberwolves is getting into it with your son, Gary Trent Jr. What was your take on what took place before the opening tip?
Well, the most important thing I started thinking was, did my son reflect on the things that he was taught? First off, you don't let nobody get you off your square, and you don't let a pesky defender who this is his style, this is what he does. You don't let somebody like that get up under your skin and get you off your square. And, so that was my first thing. And I was wondering, like, where this coming from Bev, but I know that's part of his reputation, and that's how he gets off. Plus, he just signed him a 1-year, $13 million extension, so I could see him feeling good about his money and feeling good about what he does. And, he's a respected defender and a hard worker out there. And I like that he challenged my son, though, because I needed to see, did you go back to the trainings and the teachings of what you learned throughout your career and life? But it all started, what people don't know is, I listened to the Timberwolves commentators last night, right? Mm. So before each game, you know how LeBron used to throw the powder up in the air?
Yeah.
Well, at the scorer's table, by each bench, there's gum, there's mints, and there's the powder, the talc that you put in your hands to keep the sweat down. They didn't have any of those items down by the Raptors bench. So when my son needed to step on the sticky mat on the floor to clean his shoes, they didn't have that down there by the Raptors bench. So he used the Timberwolves sticky mat and used the Timberwolves powder. So when some guys on the team said something to him, he just laughed them off and whatever, went out to the jump-off circle. So with Pat Bev being the leader of the team and maybe the emotional leader and whatnot, he had to, feel like he had to stick up for his team. And, I respect what he did, and that's what he was supposed to do because, when I played, guys wasn't coming in our locker room or guys wasn't talking trash on our bench and all that because I'll beat your ass after the game.
You're not joking, do you?
No, we believe it. I was actually gonna ask you, Gary, like, who was like the Patrick Beverley of your era? Do you remember a player that reminds you of Pat Bev?
Oh, there was a lot. Dennis Rodman of all people. He was the most instigating, get up under your skin type of defender and whatnot. So Dennis, there's a lot of guys. I mean, I had some Pat Bev too. Like certain guys, I'm just gonna come out there and just try to. He's an instigator and a nuisance. I'm gonna more or less come out there, bully, punk you, or whatever type of style. So everybody got some of that in them. It's just everybody expresses it differently.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I think not that your son needed any extra motivation because obviously I know he's home, he's got family sitting courtside, he's got friends in the building. It's a big deal for him, right? So I don't think he needed any extra motivation, but I think that just kind of really. Got him fired up in a way that, first quarter, your son comes out, scores 13, finishes the game with 30, hits 2 big threes in the fourth quarter, including the one to sort of ice it. And I actually wanted to start with the last shot that he made because I think the Raptors, I think he might have got the deflection. The Raptors got on the break. Pascal finds, your son. He knocks down the 3. Raptors up 10 with 2 minutes left. And the camera panned over to you, and I think your kids, they were happy. I think most people in the arena probably weren't happy because they're Timberwolves fans, but you were just kind of like stoic, like as if you expected that. That's just regular for you. So can you take us through sort of that specific play and sort of what you were feeling as a parent when you saw your son essentially ice the game for the Raptors?
Well, to me, we've trained for that. I rebounded that shot for you for 15 years. So I expect my son to make every shot he pull up. To me, that's just But I can see when it come out his hand, if it's good, if it's short, if he rushed it. I can see all of that. And, to me, when he hit that shot, I expect you to hit that shot, and you're supposed to hit that shot, and you better hit that shot. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're trying to take yourself to the next level of a franchise player, if you're trying to take yourself to the next level of your teammates believing in you, and the Raptors fan base believing in you, and you believing in yourself, and also sending messages to other teams. So not only do you want to hit that shot, but there's an emphasis of I better hit this shot so I can show the world. So there's a lot of things that go into those moments, individually and for the people that supported you.
Wow. And you know what? Listen, when you get with a guy like your son, right? Like he's 23, as we talked about last time you were on the show. He's already having a career year right now. But the question always in professional sports is sort of like, what can you do next? How do you get even better? How do you even get to that next level? And you sort of touched on it there. Like, where do you see your son's future in the league? What are some of his ambitions? And right now, obviously, he's having a great time. Everybody loves him, right? But we all know that there's another level he can even get to. And so what are some of the things that you're telling him? What are some of the things that he's trying to aspire to as well? Because he's already done great things at a very young age.
Well, first, he expects to hit every shot that goes in. When you train and you work during the summer and, you're making 1,000 shots a day, when you done sat there and made 5,000 shots in a week, when you put that shot up, you expect it to go in just like every other shot. But, to me, for the next level this is my son's first year really being a full-fledged starter, having a full-fledged role, understanding his role, and being on the team that's counting on him and looking for him to grow and help them. That wasn't so much his role in Portland. So besides just the emotional and mental growth within the game is one of the big aspects for him to grow and to become. But from a playing standpoint, I think with more opportunity, Coach Nurse believing in him more and, maybe calling his number more, incorporating him into the offense more, I think my son has a real chance to be an all-star down the road and a consistent all-star because he works too hard and, things that are required to be an all-star, he possesses all of those qualities.
Yeah, and you can see the focus there, too, with him, right? Because even in post-game interviews and stuff like that, he's locked in, even before the game, trying to get in his head. Pat Beverly trying to play a little bit of mind games. It's not going to shake him at all. So you can tell that he has that focus there as well. And I think, when you look at his progression this season, one of the big things coming into the year was the coaching staff apparently in the offseason kind of, had a conversation with your son and challenged him like, we know you could score, but we want you to get to your full potential as a defender as well. And I know you play defense at a high level as well. So as a former player, as a parent, when you hear that sort of feedback from the coaching staff, from the front office after they signed your son, what were your thoughts when your son was challenged to be a better defender, and sort of how have you seen his progress as a defender this season?
If you look at the high school footage, right, EYBL, they had, 40 Nike teams. They had, out of the top 100 players, like 80 of them played on the EYBL. But when my son used to play on that circuit, every top player on the other team that was a perimeter player, he guarded. In high school, he guarded Jared Vanderbilt. He guarded Kevin Knox. He guarded Michael Porter. So my son always had the responsibility of guarding the other team's best perimeter player since high school. So him playing defense, that's always been in him. He's never backed down from no challenge as far as defensively. And, with the Blazers, they weren't really known for that type of thing. And coming out of college, his team was having trouble with the pick and roll. So the guards, him, Grayson, and Duval, was accused of not being able to play D. But that wasn't necessarily the case. I think it was the pick and roll defense that was hurting Duke. But individually and on the ball, my son takes pride in, somebody not giving him 30, or he takes pride in making sure that if you're going to score it, you got to earn it. I'm not going to give it up easy. Now, everybody gets caught in a bad position. Everybody in the league gets beat here or there.
Yeah.
But, you take a lot of pride in it. And defense is about your pride and about you wanting respect, because at the end of the day, you can have all the skill you want. You could be Michael Jordan combined with Kobe and Olajuwon all in one body, right? But if the score is 98-99 and you're on defense, at that point in time, none of your offense even matters anymore in life. It's all about your defense. So to me, you got to get stops. Stops is what win games, because you can shoot the ball all you want, but we got to get stops when it's time, because that's where the game is decided at, on the stops.
Right. And look, your son, I mean, all season long, I've been tracking this, deflections per game, right? He was the league leader for a while. He was the league leader in steals. Like, he has this, like, rare knack, I feel like, where not only is he going to guard his guy, but he's going to pressure the ball and he's going to attack the ball. He gets his hands in a lot of, like, passing lanes, but even when guys are just trying to dribble and just trying to get into their move, he's so disruptive, and you see him multiple times per game. Even the late three, he set that up himself by getting the swipe down in the paint there to create that play. And I think that, do you see sort of the fit there between, Nick Nurse's system, right, where they really emphasize obviously having these, like, forwards and guys are really, help conscious and things like that. Do you see sort of that sort of blending and meshing into the style of defense that your son already naturally wants to play at?
I think the active hands, when you're active like that on defense, like I tell the kids that I coach, when you're active like that on defense, it shows a coach that you're in tune, you understand the game plan, and you know the attributes that the guy you're guarding brings to the table. So you try to take those away. So when you're on the help side and this guy likes to drive middle and spin, or I know this guy, when he catches the ball, he likes to turn baseline. That's when he go to turn baseline, you can come get that swipe at the ball, or you could come and get that block on his turnaround jumper and things of that nature, because you've studied your opponents and you understand this is our game plan defensively. We're going to funnel guys this way, trap them. So all those deflections that him and Freddie are getting just shows that they're very active on D. And usually guys who get a lot of deflections don't get the steal. It usually you deflect it, your teammates scoop it and go.
Right.
So, him and Freddie being very active like that, as your backcourt being that active, it's only going to make a deflection fall to Scotty, or a ball get deflected up in the air and somebody long like Burks can jump up and grab it and things of that nature. So, it's very disruptive, because I remember we used to, when we played in the Mavericks, Mark used to keep track of guys who got deflections and things of that nature. So it was, it's just being active on D, man. And your players are not standing around. That means they're alert, they're engaged, and they're in tune. So, deflections and steals are big for teams.
Yeah, no doubt. And then, when you look at the league leaders right now, I'm literally looking at the page, right? Fred's tied number one in the league, 3.9 per game, with Tybal and DeJounte Murray, right? So that's another all-star right there, and Tybal's a really good defender. Your son's second in the league at 3.5. Behind those guys, right? So
yeah.
It's I think it also reflects just how coachable he is, right? The coaching staff gives him this instruction, gives him some of this, this challenge, and he follows through with that. And I think even going back to the summertime, and I was watching, I don't know if you've seen this, but Fred VanVleet's got a documentary coming out, and I was watching one of the clips about him negotiating his contract, right? And this is also one of the times where, as a player, it could be a really happy moment, but also it can be a frustrating moment at times too, just based on how negotiations go. That's the nature of negotiations. Everyone knows this, but just in the summertime, obviously, I'm sure you were fairly involved in terms of with your son's decision when he was a restricted free agent. Can you just take us through that process of sort of how that was for Gary? What were some of the things that you guys were looking for together as a family, some of the advice that you shared with him, and then ultimately sort of how that deal ultimately came together, where the Raptors, signed your son to a deal that, is life-changing money for now, but also it sort of sets him up to even better things down the line?
Well, during the free agent process, he was a restricted free agent, so you have some type of clamp on you, because you're basically waiting for another team to put an offer out there, and your team to either match it or let you go to that team. I think my son has way too much upside, and he's way too young for the Raptors to let that go. So I think what the Raptors was looking for was a young guard who could shoot, gonna play some D, and be part of us rebuilding for our championship. And my son was looking for an opportunity that the Raptor presented with playing time, shot opportunities, and to be a part of something. Like I said, my son has always been a winner, so he wants to be a part of something that's winning. And, to him, it wouldn't be nothing more beautiful than to come to the Raptors after the way Leonard left and, You know, the way everybody counted them out, and for Masai to put those few pieces together, and for these guys to be in a playoff opportunity, and for these guys to keep building toward a championship opportunity, and for you to be an integral part of that, you feel very good about that. There's a lot of guys in the NBA who get rings. You know, the 15th man going to get a ring, and he's going to appreciate it, but it's different when I was actually on the floor contributing and being part of that. And I'm not saying the guys at the 15th man don't contribute, because there was times I was a guy at the end of the bench. I was a starter. I was in the middle. I was part of the rotation, not part of the rotation. So I done been in every phase of that, because I was talking to Malachi about that last night. You know, he sat there for almost 3 quarters, well, basically for 3 quarters, and then he jumped in there at the 4th quarter, and he played effectively and whatnot. And I told him, man, I understand that. It's a very hard role to play. You know, when we were in the playoffs, and I told him when we was in the playoffs playing the Lakers, Kevin fouled out. Well, I have been basically sitting since the 1st quarter. Kevin fouled out damn near in the 4th quarter. So they had Phil Jackson had to pick somebody to come in the game and shoot free throws. I've been sitting there almost probably an hour, hour and a half, you know, with all the TV timeouts and stuff. They picked me off the bench to come in there and hit 2 free throws. I hit 2 free throws, but just telling him about that experience, like, I know it's hard and I understand, because, you know, as a kid growing up, everybody on the bench, you're a bench warmer, you're no good, da-da-da-da. Let me tell you people something in the whole world. The worst player in the NBA, if you can call him the worst player in the NBA is still one of the greatest players in the world, because you're in a position of only 400-something people on this planet can do. There's 7 billion people on this planet. When you one of 400, you could never be garbage, you could never be trash, but you always got somebody sitting on a bar stool with a beer in their hand calling a NFL player, NBA player garbage, you know, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, that's really nice that you offered that wisdom to Malachi. I think, honestly, like, he played well when he came in yesterday, and he delivered. I know, Alex, you wanted to ask him about.
He played solid.
Yeah.
He played very solid. But, you know, the free agent part is, you know, first off, when you're a free agent, you got to keep your nose clean. You really want to go blackout. Stay off social media. Stay off do anything. Stay out of incidents that could, when you time to sign the team, you're like, hold up, you just caught a fight or this or that or a car wreck. So you really want to keep your nose clean and really just stay working out. So, you know, when you come in, take your physical and do everything, you know, it's hard to play pickup games because I'm a free agent right now. I stub my toe, come in, can't pass the physical, and I miss out on $100 million because I was playing at a local gym. So, you know, free agent time is a very, very sensitive time for athletes. But as far as a negotiation, you know, your performance, like I told my son when he's coming out of college, your performance puts your agent in a position to sit in that office. Did your performance put a hammer in his hand that you hang up pictures with, or did your performance put a jackhammer in his hand where he can come in and crack the pavement? Because the performance is what your agent is going to come in there speaking about. So what type of hammer did you put in his hand to come in here and hammer on his team with? And that's basically what it boils down to. Freddie made the All-Star team. He just put a jackhammer in his agent's hand. So when he come in there talking, hey, there's a lot of times when you perform at a certain level, it's not about a negotiation. It's about just having a conversation because y'all know y'all about to have to pay me. Yeah. So we're not in here going back and forth. Well, I want to give you $3. Well, we want $4. Well, we want $3.50. No. This is not a negotiation. We're about to have a conversation, and we're about to get this money. And that's how it works. You think Jordan, you think Kobe, you think LeBron going there negotiating? No, it's a conversation. Hey, the contract is ready. You know what I'm saying? It's just a conversation. Yeah. We're not here to negotiate. When you accomplish certain things, we're not here to negotiate. We're here to have a conversation about how you about to give me this money.
Yeah, no, this is great negotiation advice. Listen, Gary Trent Sr., we've once again run out of time because you've provided us with so much wisdom.
Gotta call you again.
We're gonna call you again because we have so much more to ask you. But I really appreciate it. Stay warm in Minnesota or wherever you end up this weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Damn, we ran out of time to play him the clip of his son describing his whole outfit.
Because he was talking jackhammers and negotiations, man.
No, but honestly, though, we got to play that clip in like a business school or something because that was excellent advice. And by the way, yeah, I guess tomorrow. Yeah, you're right. But also, by the way, like it's just like, damn, the fact that he was talking to Malachi as well, I have huge respect for that, you know? Because I think Malachi probably needed it. But We're out of time. That does it for us today. I'm your host, Will Lou. You've been listening to The Raptors Show, powered by DoorDash on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. Reminder, we are streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday between 2 and 3 p.m. Thanks once again to my producer and co-host, Alex Wong. Thanks to our guests, Alvin Williams and Gary Trent Sr. Wow. Our board producer, Derek Brandale, Jennifer Rolnick helping us behind the scenes with the YouTube stream, and I will talk to you soon. Finally, a message from our